What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to ask the question and discuss when will be the next time we hear about Skull and Bones. Now, right before I get super deep into this video, I do want to just start this video off by saying I did just have hernia surgery 2 days ago, or a little less than 2 days ago. So if you're wondering why my voice sounds pretty weak, pretty non-enthusiastic, it's because this is pretty much the fastest I can talk. I have to have some breaks in between my words, which is not what I normally do. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up, if you've been with us for a while, you may already know that. But if not, welcome to the channel, and just to get you up to speed on my life, there it is there. So talking about Skull and Bones, this is one of my favorite games, honestly, to discuss, and it's a game that's always been well received from you guys. And I believe one of the last times we talked about it, I asked if this could be a next generation game. And it's hard to really talk more about this game mechanically or literally what we're going to be able to do in the game, because there's been a lot of, I think, behind the scenes stuff going on, a lot of changes, and we've talked about that. Like, is the game kind of been just remade completely from the ground up, or really fundamentally changed after hearing fan feedback, we could call it, after E3. And it's kind of led us to, well, we know that the release date, or like the quarters and even the windows of when this game could come out, has been pushed massively. And the question is, really, it's stuck in a situation, I've talked about this before, where it has to come out either in this last little section. I believe it's from March of this upcoming year, 2020, to March of 2021. So it either needs to come out within the first, I'd say, or like the last 3-ish months that it could come out in 2020, and that's like March through June. That opportunity, or that area, is honestly the last time it could come out on current gen. And we've talked about that with a lot of other games, because then after that, once it gets into the summer, obviously it's not going to release then. And then when it gets into the fall, yeah, it could release, but then it would kind of be a dual release, I would imagine. Like the next Assassin's Creed game, I feel like is going to be a dual release on both generations of consoles next, like October, November. So Skull and Bones would honestly find itself in the same spot, or it would come out actually in 2021. It'd be pushed even further back. So the question here is, when's the next time we're going to hear about it? Well, to be honest with you, I'd really love to hear about it before an actual conference. I don't want to wait till E3 2020 to hear about the game, but to be honest with you, I feel like my gut answer would be that is when we'll hear about the game next. Now, Ubisoft is big enough, and even this game property is big enough, where the game could just get announced whenever it wants. And I'm not saying that that won't happen. We've talked about that a lot with many other games than just that. I think that Skull and Bones is definitely a game that Ubisoft can kind of just come out in April or in February or in March or whatever and say, hey, here's just a ton of new information about this game. But it really seems like, and like I said in the beginning of this video, like there's a rebranding kind of going on with Skull and Bones. And again, I've talked about it in a lot of the other videos. I feel like when we see this game next, it's going to be a vastly different looking game than what we've seen. It's going to be just a totally new game in a lot of ways. And I think it's honestly going to be a good thing. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, and people are going to go, okay, hopeful, and I think we'll hopefully say they listened to us. They knew what we wanted this game to be, and they're trying. And again, there are still some red flags with this game, not to get all piratey, but there still are some red flags with this game overall in terms of just the actual fundamental game, kind of with it being structured around like an always online game or a multiplayer experience. I get why they're doing that, but still. But besides that, I feel like this game, honestly, executed well, could be a phenomenal game. It's been a game we've talked about on this channel for so long because it's a pirate game, and we love that kind of stuff on this channel. We talk about that quite often. I think this would be a really fun game to play with the community, play with you guys, but just a game that I'm personally very passionate in talking about. I want this game to be the best it possibly can, and in that same way, I also want to be able to talk about it as much as I can, as soon as I can. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with this announcement. I feel like 2019, yeah, we're not done. There's still, there's still over a month left in 2019. There's still time. But where we're at now with games, literally coming out, games releasing, we are at the point where it's just games coming out. And most people, or most developers, most publishers aren't going to be announcing their brand new games. And I get it, they're not announcing it. It's not like coming out of nowhere, but I really do feel like it's coming back, and they're going to want a lot of people talking about it. I'm sure they'll have like a long gameplay thing, stuff like that. So like they're going to want eyes on this game, and to kind of unveil it again and say, hey, here are all the changes, here's all the improvements we've made to this game. It's bad. And also, besides that, I do feel like the next time we see it, it gets connected to a release date. Maybe not a specific date, maybe a month, maybe a quarter, but I do feel like, say it's at E3, we see it, Ubisoft has a presentation, they show the Assassin's Creed game coming to next gen, all that stuff. They show Skull and Bones, and then it would say like spring 2021, next generation. And we know that. So, and it would be, it would just be shown. So I think that's their overall plan. So I think when they do kind of bring it back from the dead, so to speak, it'll look vastly different. It'll be a lot better, hopefully, and people like it'll be just better word of mouth. And then they'll also want to tie it into when the game is actually coming out. And again, in order to do that, you kind of want all eyes on it. You don't want eyes on Call of Duty, The Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, Pokemon, Star Wars. Like, yeah, I could list 15 games, right? Because there's so many games that are all coming out. Game Awards, yeah, it's possible, but Ubisoft with Jeff Keighley, I don't really know if that makes a ton of sense to just show it off in December. So really, I think this is obviously this is a 2020 issue we're talking about. Maybe it's within the first couple of months that we just randomly get a drop and they say, hey, here's a bunch of new gameplay. It's also possible that maybe right before E3, companies were doing this last year where they kind of announced things before E3. They showed us some things so that when we got to E3, they kind of trimmed the fat, right? And they were able to talk more about it, or they're able to talk more specifically about something. So we could maybe see that maybe around like May, early June, we see some Skull and Bones stuff and they say, okay, here's like the beginning of it, and then also like we're going to give you more, or we're going to talk about a lot more at E3. So, like sadly, it's a sadly thing to me because again, honestly, I want this game, I want it out as soon as it possibly can be. I don't want to rush it. I'm not a guy who rushes game developers. I want them to take their time. I want the game to be the best thing possible. So I'm all for them taking their time. But I just, for my own personal enjoyment, for you guys, for the channel, for all those reasons, I want to be able to talk about it as soon as I can. And I feel like, again, so many things have probably been changed about it over the past couple, I'd say even years, that it's hard to discuss the actual basics of the game. But I do want to start talking about the game a little bit more. And if there's anything you guys want me to talk about specifically about Skull and Bones, maybe the things I want to see, the things I want to see changed, stuff like that, let me know in the comments below. I can definitely make those videos, but I want to start talking about this game a little bit more on the channel. Obviously, once we know more stuff about it, we'll be covering it a whole lot more. And once the game comes out, I think it's going to be a really solid game. I think it's going to be a game that really attracts me to it. It's a game that I want to talk about. I want to play. I want to see in action because it's just, I don't know, it's a special kind of genre in gaming that not a lot of people go into, but I'm super interested in. So, guys, again, let me know in the comments below anything you want me to talk about Skull and Bones related, but also when do you think we're going to hear about this game next? Do you think we have to wait all the way till E3, or do you think it's going to be sooner? When do you think this game is going to come out? All those questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that bell icon, and thank you again for putting up with my less than enthusiastic voice. I'm getting better, day by day. It's a little bit better. Hopefully, the next couple videos or the next couple days, every day, hopefully the videos, I start to sound a little bit stronger, a little bit better. But thank you guys for putting up with it until then. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.